Hi folks, welcome to Adams Autos. Back with you for a bit of another event special sort of thing. I'm down at Hastings today. It's a 1066 bike, I know it has been. And yeah, I just want to talk about why events or bike events, well specifically in the sort of south and southeast, where the organisation has gone, insofar as that what I mean is all organisations that were looking after these events have kind of gone the way of the pier. Now, as some of you may know, I was chair for the Southend Shakedown with the Resurrection, and I got some people together back in, well, pretty much myself anyway, got a bunch of guys together back in 2018, a couple of years after the ACE-CAF stepped away due to admin and organisational costs, to get the event back. And we did a lot of work with Southend Council to do that, and we had a really successful day in 2019. Unfortunately, COVID happened, so we couldn't do it in 2020 and 2021. And then by the time 2022 came around, we could get the event back on, as we still had commitments to our sponsors and the people that pay for stalls and that sort of thing. But by the time 2022 came around, we were threadbare for resources, namely volunteers. And we put multiple calls out to the biking community, and they were, whilst everyone's like, yeah, we love the event, we support the event, not too many were willing to stick their heads above the parapet and say, yes, we want to come and help. So, anyway, we just about got 2022 done, but it was clear after that we tried to move forward, you know, for 23, and again we put out for help with volunteers and things, but it just didn't happen. So my team, or what was left of my team, ended up stepping away. Fortunately, by that time I think that we'd sort of shown the light that the event could be made a success of, and it could be managed in conjunction with the council rather than sort of headbutting against them in certain aspects, which I think is what kind of one of the issues the Ace Cafe had when they stepped away. So when last year came around, 2025, Southend Council were in a position to press the event again, and they actually had a moment of clarity. I didn't approach myself. I know they're probably, you know, I'd have been very surprised if that had happened in the first instance, but I didn't approach myself, but I went back to the ACE-CAF, and I think all the hard work, as I said, all the hard work that we did, you know, with the council now, hopefully that kind of put it in good stead that it could be joint managed. So yes, the Southend Council approached the ACE to, you know, organise it, and it was back on for last year. It was a great success. The weather certainly shined on the righteous, and it certainly happened again this year, because obviously the Southend Shakedown is an Easter event, and as you know, some Easters can fall very early, which this year's did. You know, 6th of April I think it was, and as we know, weather could be very changeable. I remember I probably spoke about this in the previous video, but the first shakedown I did, it was pissing down with rain back in sort of 2011, 2012, that time, and it was horrid. And it was the only time my Honda Dominator ever broke down due to water ingress in my power socket. So that was all fun. But anyway, so that's what's happened. Hopefully now, as has been proved with joint management of the event and the complete success of the event, and the amount of the popularity of it, you know, for bikers and non-bikers alike, showed that it is a success, and it is good for Southend. You know, the traders all do well, despite one or two which may claim otherwise. You know, it's a really good day, and it puts Southend on the map. So anyway, that's a sort of a brief thing about the shakedown, my involvement with it, you know, and keeping the event on. So that's literally like the first event, you know, that's essentially the first sort of big bike. That's essentially the first big bike run of the year. So, well, certainly for the sort of, you know, southeast of England. So then comes up, literally after that, you've then got the 1066 May Day run, which is where I'm at today. And I mean, as busy as the shakedown has been, and you know, and it is, the Hastings run is it has been up to sort of twice the size. I'd say this year's shakedown was probably knocking on the doors for numbers of what Hastings can attract, but this is a massive day. And anyway, the 1066 run was an organised event, in so much as the organisers that did it, they sort of, you know, they would get the stalls down, you know, the you know, stuff which is, but you know, the sort of bike stalls and everything, you know, they'd sort all that out and everything. Unfortunately, the organiser of the 1066 bike run actually retired in 2021, so that left the event without an organiser. But fair play to Hastings Council, they stepped up to the mark and said, you know, we've realised the bikes are going to come down, and they've muscled together some traffic marshals and security, and the event is still the event is still pressing forward pretty much as was. The flip side to that being is that without an actual bike event organiser, we don't have the stalls and stuff, so that's one thing that is missing. But as I said, you know, fair play to Hastings Council in recognising the importance of the event and still keeping it managed. But as an official event organiser, they don't have one now. Whether that will change, I don't know. I would be thinking at the moment probably not, because the Hastings Council are doing, you know, they're doing a pretty good job in the circumstance of looking after it. So that's 1066. So then coming up after that, you've then got the Margate Meltdown, which was another AceCAF event, which kind of kicked off why I'd done this video in the first place. The Margate Meltdown has been going on, off the top of my head I cannot tell you, I would assume it either started not long or shortly after the Southend Shakedown did. But the Southend Shakedown event, as run by the AceCAF, goes back to the sort of mid-late 90s. So I'm assuming the Meltdown would have been a similar kind of time. You know, and that's been an organised event by the AceCAF up until this year, when they had to cancel. And whilst I've not spoken to Mark Willsmore, at least as yet, I'd like to get the official lowdown from him about why he cancelled. The post that they put up on their website, which is what I'll show now. So as a small child just walking along the bench, it's a massively busy day down there, I've got to tell you that. Yeah, they've had to step away this year. So is the AceCAF now facing the same issues with Thanet Council that they did with Southend Council 10 years ago? Is that where they are now? Now, the smart money would be, say, look, well, you know, we've shown that we can manage it in conjunction with Southend Council. Why can't Margate follow a similar format, or, you know, following the way that Southend Council managed to sort of work with the ACE on the event? I don't know yet, as I say, I haven't got the official lowdown from Mark, but that's my guess on it, is that with the way things are, that's why the Ace are no longer, or at least at present, have cancelled the Margate meltdown. But time will tell. We'll see if they do come back to do it. The bikes are still going to go down to Margate. Don't get me wrong, because they did put the Southend Shakedown. Then when the Southend Shakedown was on, the bikes still went down. And you know, the council and the authorities, Essex Police and that, managed those times. Some would say a bit too draconian, which is much of the reason why I got involved in getting the event going. But it will remain to be seen. So I will go to Margate and see exactly, you know, try and see how much different the day will be without the ACECAF's involvement. But it would seem to me that that's the thing. If Thanet Council are trying to push all the costs onto the ACECAF, and the ACECAF have turned around and said, no, we're not willing to do that, and we're not in a position to do that, then that's why they'd step away. So we're now faced with that issue, that Margate meltdown. I've just seen that episode R6. Didn't take a picture. Did I take? I can't know. So yeah, that would seem to me what the issue is. So anyway, so as I say, it's mad. Whilst the Southend Shakedown's back on, they got the Southend Shakedown back and then cancelled Margate for what appears to be similar reasons as why they cancelled the Southend Shakedown 10 years ago. But we'll see what happens there. So that's the Margate event. So then, following that, we're going into other big bike runs in the southeast and southie area. So if we move forward to September and October time. Now, in September, the ACECAF do the Brighton Burn-Up, which, as I've seen on the ACECAF page, that's still going ahead. So great, you know, that's good news. Hopefully, one of the few moments of clarity Brighton will have is that they need to keep, you know, for Brighton to stay on the map, they need to keep this event on. So maybe, I don't know, as I said again, if I can get a conversation with Mark at some point, he can sort of clarify some stuff. So the Brighton Burn-Up's still going ahead in September. What also went on the same Sunday as the Brighton Burn-Up would be the Dunton to Harwich Air Ambulance run. Now I'm actually wearing, I think, I'm not sure if this t-shirt was from the last official run. And all the money raised from the Air Ambulance run helped run the Air Ambulance. I don't know if many of you are aware, but the Air Ambulances are not government funded. They don't come out of the NHS budget. They're charities. You know, it's our... How did I miss that old R80? Anyway, this is quite a while, so many noises. So yeah, the Essex Air Ambulance, you know, and all air ambulances, they're not NHS funded. They're charities, so it's money. It's event organised money raisers like the Air Ambulance run that help to keep that bird and its crew in the sky. The Dunton event no longer goes ahead. I can't remember I can't remember off the top. I'll probably do another video on this at some point. But I can't remember off the top of my head if the Air Ambulance run. I can't remember if there was an issue with the council or at Harwich. I think there may have been some sort of issue there, but as I say, I'll do another video on that to clarify. So the Air Ambulance run doesn't happen. And then after September, for the Dunton run, the Brighton Burn-Up, there was another event down to Brighton called the Brightona, which was another event to raise money for certain charity, which I can't remember off the top of my head. I do apologise. I haven't been I mean, must have been, well, it would have been before COVID was the last time I went to Brighton. But there again, that event is no longer happens, and I don't know whether it's down. I don't know whether the organisers were no longer in a position to do it, whether there's an issue with Brighton Council or what. But there is another event that's no longer there / organised. So there we have it. You know, those are the sort of main kind of runs that, you know, the massive runs that happen through the year. So you've got the Shakedown first, you've got the 1066 run, the Margate Meltdown, you'd have the Air Ambulance run, Brighton Burn Up and Brightona. And now out of all those events, the only two that are now officially organised is the Southend Shakedown run and the Brighton Burn Up, which are both based in yeah, where are we at with this? Now, I know from personal experience how much organisation it does take, but we've proved it can be done. That I think one of the main issues that we had, as I said, regarding moving forward for what was my committee, was getting people involved. Whilst everyone goes, oh, it's a great event, you know, we support it, we turn up and all that. Well, that's great. If you want to keep the event going properly, well, you need people to stick their hand up and say, we'd love to come and help, you know, and that's just not happened. So, you know, it's a bit of a call out to the biking community. If you want these events to carry on, you know, get your hands involved. I'm not going to do it now. I'm a bit too long in the tooth for that, and my fingers are now in other pies. But particularly, you know, as the Southend Shakedown is now back with the Ace, it's pointless me trying to get some sort of involvement with it. And all the others are out of my area, and I just would not have the time to get involved. I could give, you know, if people want to do it, I can probably give advice on it from my own experience, but that's as far as I could go. So yeah, but anyway, you know, those are my thoughts on why most of these events are either gone or not organised anymore. It's crazy. You know, us as a community, we need to be more together than ever. You know, we've all, you know, what our lovely government and all the rest of it try and push on us. We need to be sticking together. We need to be sticking our heads above the parapet to keep these things going. Anyway, that's a slight rant over. As for the day itself, as I said, it's been brilliant down here. It always is. I love Hastings. Years ago, I actually lived, I say up the road, but I did live up in Dover. This was prior to my full licence, so but I used to come down to Hastings relatively regularly. I love it down here. You know, it's just a great place. There's you know, there's so many little independent shops up there, which I'm about to go and visit, because there's one that does some great flavoured fudge. I'm going to pop in there and grab some stuff, and maybe have a look around one of the little shops doing all sorts of knickknacks. They can't be big knickknacks, because obviously I'm on the bike, I've only got a top box, so I don't want to fill it up. But anyway, that's where we are. So now I'm going to put up my bike choices for this event. I think it's going to be a top 10 this time, because I've seen there's quite a few bikes that took my fancy. And as again with, you know, when I did the bike picks for the Southend Shakedown, it's not necessarily the blingy, you know, well, it isn't the blingiest or the most sporty or anything like that. It's just unusual stuff, old school stuff, you know, just rare picks really. And I still haven't seen another FZR1000. And they're not uncommon, but I just haven't seen one today. Anyway, that's me. I'm going to stop waffling. I'll let you have a look, see what you think of my picks, and let me know your own thoughts. So I'm going to wish you love and light, and I'm going to bless a lot of you, and we will see you on the next video. I don't know what it's going to be, but possibly on the FZR, because at the moment that's still causing me issues. I've had it MOT, but that's about as far as I've got. The MOT was primarily to see if there's anything else wrong with the bike before I try and get the carb set up, which is going to be its main issue. So again, once again, love and light. God bless every one of you. And I'll see you in the comments and on the next video. Ta-da. So coming in at number 10 is this Suzuki GSXR. I didn't get as far as checking what year it was or what CC. I don't know if it's a 600, a 750 or 1000. I do quietly like the GSXR 750. I rode a K7 for a short time and I really got on with it. But anyway, personal feelings aside, we all know they're a bit of a squiddy, bit of a piss missile, the old Gixxers. But the reason for this one's inclusion is this paint job. I absolutely loved it. It's obviously, as you can see, it's the Barry Sheene paint scheme that was on his Suzukis, and it's been really well done. I've got to give top marks to whoever done this. So that's the reason for the inclusion. Coming in at number 9 is this Yamaha RD80 LC. Absolutely rare as hen teeth, these things. I actually owned one along with my mate Chris when we were teenagers. It was something we bought out of the local scrapper. Never really got it on the road, but that's about as near as I got to one of these. You know, and you just didn't see them then, let alone now. So that's the reason I've dropped this in. They're just so rare. And this one looked in all good original condition, and it was just literally hiding away around the back of these buildings up near the cliff lift. So yeah, had to drop this one in. Great find. Now in at number 8 is something that's possibly even rarer. This is a Mako, and I had to do some digging about this because I know nothing about them. All I know is they are a rare bike as it is. So here we go. So I looked up the details on DVLA. I'm not going to share the intimate stuff, but it's basically, it was registered in 84, it was manufactured in 82, and this bike is a Mako Alpha. I know it's on the seat, but I had to check up anyway. It's a 490cc bike, and the weight is phenomenal. Wet weight of 113 kilos with a power of 43 horsepower. I'm going to guess that it's quite interesting to ride, being as it only has drum brakes as well. But as I said, I've just never ever seen one before. I know they exist, I've just never seen one, and the fact that this was here today, it was like, wow, okay, this is getting included. What a find. At number 7 we have this Yamaha 600 Tenere, or Tenere, I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm sure I probably pronounced it wrong somehow, but anyway, now I spotted this, I didn't spot any other 600s at Hastings. There might have been others, I don't know, but this just a really clean example, and I've included it. They're not hard to get hold of, but again very uncommon. And for another reason I included this, when I passed my test, I was living in a part of Kent that precluded me effectively owning anything with chrome or anything sports bikerish, because the roads where I was living were just bad. So I wanted to go something down these lines, and I've narrowly missed out on buying one of these, and I ended up getting a Honda NX650 Dominator, which done a great job. But this was the bike I first wanted when I passed my test. At number 6 we've got another Yamaha. This wasn't intentional, I promise you, but I love these things. This is a early Yamaha VMAX. I can't quite work out what year. It does look like it's one of the early ones from the 80s through to the early 90s, but those wheels aren't standard, and that's what was throwing me, trying to find the year. Maybe I should have taken a picture of the plate and looked it up, but I digress. So yeah, when including the VMAX, I didn't see any others down there, and I just love these things. An unapologetic muscle hot rod bike. You can't go wrong with that. At number 5 we have this Kawasaki KZ1300. Kawasaki's foray into a 6-cylinder bike when we think of the old school six pots, everyone immediately thinks of the Honda CBX 1000. So it was great to see this Kawasaki Z1300 at Hastings. The only one I saw, very clean, possibly restored at some point, who knows, but great rare find. And I know my mechanic quite likes these because I think he tried to get hold of one. So there we go, the KZ1300. And from here on in, we're going Italian. Came across this Moto Guzzi V52 or V50 Mark II, whatever, however you want to pronounce it. I don't know a lot about Guzzis, I'm afraid, but I love the look of them. I love the design, and I came across this what looked to be in original condition V50 from the early 80s. Lovely looking machine. At number 3 we have the Ducati 748 from the mid 90s. The classic Tamburini design that has just aged so well. One of the most beautifully designed bikes ever made, and arguably the small brother to the 916. But came across this, didn't see another 748. I immediately spotted it because they're normally yellow, whereas the 916 is generally red. But yeah, come across this one, had a great chat with its owner Mark. He's had it for quite a few years, and the general foibles of owning a Ducati. And yeah, I love this, and I think Mark's looking at having something Japanese for these runs. He's not getting rid of the Ducati though, but a great find. And as I say, the only 748 I see in Hastings. So this is the penultimate bike from my picks. In at number 2, the Ducati 996. Arguably the best incarnation of the Tamburini design, and as we all know, Foggy was very successful on this from the 916 up to the 996. And again, like it's arguably smaller brother, the 748. Just a timeless, beautifully designed machine. Whether you'd own one for its servicing is another thing, but who wouldn't want one of these in their stable? Just a wonderful machine. And finally at number 1, another Ducati, only this one's somewhat older. This is an early 80s Ducati 900 Mike Howard replica. My word, it was just stunning. There's no other words I could describe this bike. I don't know a lot about the early Ducatis, but I saw this and yeah, just a beautiful machine. So this is going in at number 1. I hope you enjoyed all these my picks, and I will look forward to seeing you on the next one. I've got some honourable bike mentions that will be on my Instagram, which is Southend Guy Media, and I'll drop the link in the comments below. So thanks once again for listening to me for the last 30 minutes. I'll see you on the next content. Love and light, and God bless you all.